Howdy, y'all. So, almost immediately after posting that Fat Burger video over on Facebook and Instagram, I got questions immediately. Why is it that your thumb is always moving? Why do you always do so much ghost noting? Well, it's simple. When I first learned slap bass technique back in the late 70s and early 80s, I found myself trying to be, I guess, for lack of better words, my own metronome. Trying to keep, rhythm and time together. And I guess I just never got rid of that. I've always done that with slap bass techniques more, slap bass and pick playing techniques more so than any other technique that I use on bass guitar. I'm always trying to keep time, trying to keep rhythm, and I don't know, it's just something that I never changed. I had one other guy actually complain about that when I was doing a studio recording back in the early 2000s on an alternative rock album, and he says it's just excess noise. But in all honesty, I'm one of those types of bass players. Well, in all actuality, what I am is I'm a failed drummer. When I was a kid, that was the one thing I wanted to play more than anything was drums, and thank goodness I wasn't that good at it. And it's funny too how I couldn't, physically play a drum set, but I can play drums on bass guitar all day long, any day of the week, and twice on Sunday. Yeah, okay. And I can keep pretty good time too. I don't know why that is. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of like Mark King in that sense. He's a drummer. But since he already had a drummer in his band, he had to find something else to drum on, and bass guitar became that instrument that he did it on. Well, Mark King was one of my big influences, but on that last video that I posted by Fat Burger, Mark Hunter was the bass player's name in that band. And I'll tell you what, that guy knew how to slap bass and keep it simple, but he also knew how to use octave pedals. Oh my God, his bass tone was just fantastic, and he just used a simple passive Fender jazz bass most of the time. Mark Hunter's from Fat Burger, by the way. And Fat Burger was one of my favorite bands when I lived in San Diego anyway. I hardly ever missed a concert from those guys when I wasn't working or, doing something else. I always try to attend a show that they played, and I just happened to work at that time at a location where they played often. Fat Burger. Oh my God, they were so underrated. As a jazz band, a jazz fusion band. They were so underrated. They had some great players in that band. All throughout their history. I mean, guys like Nathan East, Mark Hunter, Evan Marks, Steve Lowry, the late great Carl Evans. Oh my God, they had some great players in that band. Absolutely loved them. But yeah, that's why I do the things that I do. I'm an extremely percussive slap bass player on those occasions that I do play slap and or pick style playing. Extremely percussive. It's like one of those things where it is said we have to develop our own styles as bass players. Well, that's my style. I'm percussive. Always have been. As a failed drummer. And well, actually, no, I still play percussion every now and then. I mean, it's been a long time, but I can play percussion better than I can play drums. I'm an accent guy. So, there's that. But anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed these last two videos that I posted up. I mean, I had fun playing them. Obviously, I had fun playing them. So, time for me to go to bed. I'm sleepy. I'm tired. I've been up all day long. It's time to call it a day. So, stay tuned. More to come.